everyone. Welcome to... I don't know what this is, but we are the RPGeeks.
Who are you people?
We didn't come up with a name for it.
We have a name.
We have so many
Every
names.
single one of our shows, except this one. This is a special show. Just for you people out there. It's especially for new people, people who've maybe missed a few streams, people who just want to know what the hell is going on, and people who want to know what will be going on in the exciting future of the RPGeeks. So before we get onto that, I think we should, as per usual, introduce ourselves briefly. Should I say that? No, I'm going to introduce ourselves. My name's Shamini. I used to share pronouns. I'm a science film video professional of the nerdy variety.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That diction.
I played
Go
it
quicker. Hi, I'm Emily. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a science filmmaker and I play D&D. Simon.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Simon. I use he, him pronouns. I like D&D and I make science things on the YouTubes and on Twitch.
Just way slower.
Sorry.
Really quick.
That's all right.
Ali,
Hi, my name is Ali. I'm the DM. I like D&D a lot. That's why I'm the DM. And I do film things on the films.
Right, thanks for watching, everybody. That was actually the end of the stream. Goodbye.
Over.
Okay, right. No, that was... Don't leave!
Oh.
Please. Oh my god.
I'm back. Only we were in chat.
I mean, this is a taster of our usual
Chaos
and fun. But we did want to give a little bit of an overview right now of what this is and why this is and how
Why this
is.
Who this is and where this is.
And
Where
Ali,
even?
I know you love describing the RPGeeks concept. Would you like to describe our concept?
Oh, the concept. It's so conceptual. The concept is we all really like D&D and we played it for a long time, like just us playing normal D&D, but we're also all science communicators who really like science for our sins.
Yeah.
And so we were thinking, right, wouldn't it be awesome to play a D&D campaign where you could explain all of the stuff that was happening through actual science? So we're like, right, so we built this D&D world, which is a sci-fi D&D world, right? In the future, far future. So I built it, right? Because I'm the DM.
I was going to say, you're being very modest there. Me, Shamini, and Simon had nothing to do with it. But
We've all played a part. Anyway, so the whole point is, so all of us, we're far out on the rim of the Alliance space, right? Which is the sort of human empire, if you like, right? And we're way out on there on this planet called Braxigantu in one of these really far-flung star systems, and that's where and it's way, way, way into the future. But the whole concept is that, you know, the physics, the biology, all the scientific laws are real and could really happen, and we're trying to explain all the crazy, funky stuff like magic and gods and stuff that happens in D&D through this. Like real science.
we haven't got into gods at all in the campaign yet.
No,
so
just
that's
throw gods in
exciting.
there.
Yeah.
You have heard of the nanite gods. That has been mentioned.
Oh no, we weren't paying
Have we?
attention. Is that what did Chortle say something? He's nodding.
He's nodding.
He's nodding.
furiously.
Oh,
wow.
it sounds so relevant to the plot.
Oh, I'm just
God.
going to get my notebook.
Let me get my
out.
notepad.
Add conversation about nanite gods to the list.
Oh my god,
to
I
do.
spent so much time. Like, I just, and I know you're not going to meet. There's loads of them you're never going to meet, right? Like, why would you?
And
They're not gonna come be
which
like,
character mentioned it?
Chortle.
I can't-
I reckon.
Okay, so some people won't know
Gotta
who
be.
Chortle is yet.
We'll
maybe it
get
wasn't
to-
Chortle.
we'll get to that,
So
we'll get to that. Yeah, so basically we have done 8 episodes now. We've actually done 8 episodes of 2 different types of shows. We've done 8 episodes of our just the campaign, which is basically run as a sort of standard actual play adventure in space using standard D&D 5th edition rules. And occasionally breaking out into science in what we call chats of opportunity.
Yeah.
Love it.
Because a chat of opportunity sounds like attack of opportunity, which is a thing.
A very key thing to understand about the show is it is 90% based on puns.
Yeah.
We build
Yeah.
outwards.
I also
from it.
hate
That was a good one.
You're very welcome. That's most of my brain is just bad puns going round and round. And sometimes I say them out loud and people agree they should be titled with them. And this happened far too many times for this show.
Like a waking nightmare that you live. You're like, no, it's just a terrible pun. Don't make it the title of that thing.
The other pun name is the bit where we analyse the science from the adventure is called the DnDebrief. I mean, it's good though. It's a good title.
That's a really
Come
good
on.
one.
I think that one came first. That was like the original nucleation point of this idea.
RPGeeks was first, but I did propose it as RPGeeks. So the RPGs did.
RPGeeks. Don't like that.
But
it's like a GIF.
I think that's what our fans
GIFs.
should be called. I think all our fans are the Geeks.
The
and
Geeks.
We are the
RP
geeks. Superior.
Do you want to be Geeks? Let us know in the comments.
Would you rather be a geek or a geek, guys?
Yeah, I don't.
This is dangerously close to discussions of jellicle cats. We're approaching that level of abstract.
Jellicle cats are jellicle
Oh, Ali,
cats.
don't.
Cats are jellicle cats. Jellicle cats are jellicle cats. Jellicle cats.
Anyway, D&D.
It's a musical theatre
talk about
thing,
films
Ali.
and musicals quite a lot. Sorry.
That's like the
And Brendan
reverse of
Fraser
Internet
is God.
2.0.
Yeah, so Brendan Fraser is the only god that we recognise thus far in the playthrough.
Yeah. God of my heart.
What I thought we could do is basically have a chat. I thought we could reveal some more things about ourselves.
I didn't sign up for this. What?
Our real world self.
Our real world
Did you
self.
suck me into therapy?
This is an
That's not
We
intervention.
could
session,
talk
everyone.
about
Sit down.
some issues that we've been having in life and problems that we've all been facing. And
I'm going to keep drinking my wine now.
oh god, how we all ended up here. A little bit of a sort of behind the scenes glimpse as to how we came up with the ideas, just sort of all of that. That's quite a lot.
Maybe we could do
It's quite broad.
should we start with how we met?
Oh yeah, well, that's nice. Do people care?
So I think
I don't
the
know.
first two of us to meet would be me and Sharmini.
Yeah.
Who met in
Quite a long
2012 at in a university production of All Shook Up, which is an Elvis Presley jukebox musical.
It's great. It's great.
It was great.
I'm all
It's really good. It's actually a really good show. The storyline is based on 12th Night by Shakespeare, and then all the music is
We're
from Elvis
veering
Presley.
dangerously off course, and we're not
Yeah,
even
this
like
is-
10 minutes in.
This isn't off course. This is how me and Sharmini met. I think it's important. And then
We met
I
at a
don't
science
know.
university. Ended up both doing a master's in science media production, and then went off into the land of TV and subsequently other online videos.
we are the same person.
No. Well, I don't mind that because you're great. So
Wow,
I don't
okay,
do
wow.
it.
Waking nightmare, Sharmini.
This
I'm
is
not
all right for
being
me.
like her.
No, I'm okay with.
But
being
speaking of
next.
online video, is the next in the chronology Ali and I meeting?
You are the master of
thought
segues,
so.
Simon Clark.
Would have
Like,
thought so.
you cannot
When
be...
did you meet? I don't know this.
Was it
actually. I don't know. How
2018,
how do you know each
2019
other?
that we met?
I think it might have been earlier because we met through a friend. Like,
What friend?
and...
Oh, yes. Yeah, we met
yeah.
before. Yeah, because
Yeah,
we
We
did
did have
we
other
met-
friends.
we did a video on brain chemistry for my YouTube channel, and that was about 2018, I want to say. It was
Something around that.
PC. It was like pre-COVID.
No, must have been like 2017 before because I've kicked out that lab after that. So
Unrelated. But yes, we
Separate
met in a
incident.
cafe in London like a year before that, maybe. Something
Yeah.
like that. But that was how we kind of, on a production perspective, kind of got in touch and realised that we liked working together, which was nice.
because we both did PhDs, very different like topics, right? But,
Yeah.
like that's our kind of background, like that whole science route.
So you've done films together that we can go and watch on your YouTube channel.
we don't. Is it just the one that we did?
I think it's just the one, but then I did like a podcast bit with you to talk about, YouTuber stuff.
Yes.
Anyway,
Yeah, we did that.
Well, then I met Ali Jennings.
Oh.
And then we made a video about mantises. That's not really key to the chronology, but that was one of my favorites.
Mantis shrimp. Or
No,
praying mantises?
praying mantises with little
Oh,
3D
cool.
glasses on, and we got the train and went up to a lab. And I particularly remember that trip
I've seen
because
this video.
good. It's a great video. You should check it out. But also,
you won
that
an
was
award for it.
really
Yeah.
oh great. Go
That's
on.
news to Sean.
Award-winning videos.
Award-winning video. but that was that was kind of in the middle of me knowing Ali. But I had discovered D&D while drunk at a bus stop at an after show party for a panto.
So
actually.
fitting. I love
A
that.
panto that me and Sharmony were again in together because we are musical theatre nerds. Congratulations.
And I had started running one-shots for work people. So we hang around after work in the so-called quiet room on our floor and did at times get asked to maybe keep it down by the books and arts editor who was
We're fighting a Tarrasque. Go away.
Yeah. And I think, Ali, had you played any TTRPGs before then?
No.
I played my first TTRPG when I was 18, a long time ago, with my boyfriend at the time, whose dad played it in the 80s and wanted to run a game.
Oh, cool.
And so my boyfriend was like, we're going to play D&D. And I was trying to be cool and was like, I don't know what's D&D. And I got so into it. And I remember I played a little halfling who I gave her like 0 intelligence. And so basically, because I wanted to be able to, the chaos started very young in me, and I just wanted to be able to do whatever I wanted. And it was probably a very bad player, but I chucked booze on a fire to try and put it out, and so it got worse. And and then my boyfriend got really angry with me because I wasn't being optimal for the playstyle. But
it was a beard. He was like a neck beard.
and now we're married. No,
The use of the word optimal, suboptimal.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not really an optimal. It's not viable in the current meta of D&D.
If you're watching, hope you're well.
Because my first actual playing experience, I actually DM'd before I played.
No.
Like I did
know this?
I did Minds of Phandelver.
Did you? Oh wait, maybe
The
in the starter
classic.
set with some friends. We were on a group holiday, and because I'd watched a lot of Critical Role clips and a fair bit of like high rollers
just the
stuff.
clips.
Yeah, just clips actually.
It's a lot to get into.
And like a fair bit of high rollers, and I'd seen other campaigns like elsewhere. I can't remember where, but like I was like, I know that the group was interested, and I was the one who had the closest thing to experience, so I was put in charge. But like my first time playing was with you guys.
No way.
Which was
So I realised so my first time playing was with you, Shamini, but I realise actually now that I used to play a computer game that was based on D&D. It was a D&D computer game. I played it religiously for like 6 years, my formative years.
Wow.
Like, over and over and over again. And I've only just realised that it was all based on D&D.
Fun. What was it?
So, what was the computer game?
Baldur's Gate 2, one of the best.
Yeah. It's a D&D world. Yeah.
Fuck me, it's good.
Yeah.
I'd play it again.
Amazing.
I do.
In our home game, one of the worlds places I've reflavored, the place you're in fact on your way. The place you're in now, or the place you just left. Sorry, that's Baldur's Gate that I've reflavored to be Hive. That's Baldur's Gate that you were in.
Because we should mention, like, we sort of said we played together past tense. Like, we do still have a separate campaign.
We have a home game.
Which is great.
We're doing Horde of the Dragon Queen.
But very reskinned. And
reskinned.
And we also, we had like a long time with not playing because of the pandemic, and we had a meetup a couple of weeks ago now, where we just did a whole weekend of playing D&D, and it was glorious. It was so nerdy.
It was so great.
And,
honestly, that was just like the best weekend ever. I love you guys.
But we also play online. My segues are so bad. What I was going for was, what about the game that we play, right? We don't want to get too off topic.
Right, yes.
How's it going in our game, the one that we
Dungeons
do?
and Dragons and Science.
Emily, you've got to stop wearing that top because the planets are out of order. Like,
I know. Stop looking at my boobs, Simon.
but it's
Jesus.
Saturn is not closest to the sun.
This is Jupiter.
yeah.
Earth's here. Here's Mars. Sorry, podcast.
Stop
This is bad for
pointing
you.
at your boobs.
Emily is
I know,
currently
this is fun,
displaying.
Look, I'll do this.
T-shirt.
Okay, I'm doing
It's a
this. I'll do
t-shirt.
this. Okay.
That's a good t-shirt.
It's a really bad t-shirt. So, okay, it goes,
cute.
from what I can tell, that's Saturn, right? Maybe Mercury.
She's going from left to
Then,
right away from the sun.
This is
that's
quality audio
Jupiter.
content.
Earth. That's Mars. Is that another Jupiter?
No, that's Jupiter.
We might have two Jupiters. Well, that's no. This one's definitely Jupiter because it's got the,
Wait,
the
have
red
you had
spot.
Venus yet? That looks like it might be Venus.
Oh, that's Venus. There we go. So Earth, Mars, Venus. Then which one is it? Uranus?
No,
or
no, no, no,
Neptune?
no. I think Venus is to the... Sorry, podcast listeners. Venus is to the left of Earth.
No, that's Jupiter. It's got a red spot. Hang on.
Wow!
I'm holding it out. It's
T-shirt.
fine.
Simon, clearly.
Okay, our views have just spiked. Sorry.
I should hope so. Anyway,
Dungeons and Dragons of Science, anyone?
but I wore this top on our first ever one shot we did
Oh,
on
okay.
Simon's
It's
Twitch
relevant.
stream.
It
Oh,
came
she
back to
brings
the
it
point.
back.
Well done.
So that one shot led to this campaign, which we are now playing, and goes a bit like this, right? So we thought it would be a good idea to just go through really quickly what we've done and a bit of the science that came up a little bit, but also the adventure, like the story of what happened.
Plot recaps.
When you're doing the recap, can I demand sound effects, please, Ali?
Your sound effects are top
Maybe
tier.
we should do the recap, and Ali should do the Atmos.
All I
and
do is the
SFX.
sound.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
also, if we get it wrong, he has to try and correct
Yeah.
us via the sound effects.
whatever
Exasperated
we
centipede
say,
clicking.
sound effects.
okay.
No, come for the full
Aw.
fat, for the sound effects. 'Cause I've got to be in the zone.
We should
You can't make the sound effect of a huge bird if you're not like fully immersed in their culture, their way of life. So our players. So the whole thing starts with our players in a shuttle which lands in this sort of mountaintop colony called Vow.
Like a huge shuttle, like a shuttle the size of a village. Like it was massive, right?
Yeah, I mean it's really big. I don't know if it's the size of a small
the size
village.
of a
Like
Hamlet.
cathedral.
It's really chunky. It's like a cathedral. Yeah. It's like a big cathedral. Yeah, and that sort of down in the middle of this sort of forest on this mountainside, and the thing is, nobody knows each other at the start. Did you guys?
No.
This backstory.
I was not activated.
Infinity wasn't there. Tenebris and Uriel had been had just been passengers on the shuttle. Went to try and leave. But,
And got stabbed.
Well, a stabbing occurred. Someone was stabbed. Who
Yeah.
was to blame? Nobody knows.
People were stabbed.
Excuse me for
Maybe-
liking my arm being attached to my body. Like, fuck me, am I right?
We met an exciting salesperson who had a little stall in the shuttle itself, on the sort of shuttle like road. It's a very big.
Like the
shuttle.
concourse.
Yeah, on the main concourse of the shuttle. He had a little shop. He was like, "Do you want to buy something?" Then he stabbed you.
It wasn't a great business strategy. Hello, would you like to buy
do you
something?
wanna-
Shank.
Maybe you
Explain
guys-
what your characters are.
Oh,
Yes,
we should
yeah,
do
talking
that.
about them.
Oh, yeah, we should.
For the viewers who are watching this on Twitch or YouTube, I will attempt to show you the fan art. But because of how we do, sorry, not the fan art,
Fan
the
art.
Cass's art.
Fan art.
Cass is also a
Professionally done
fan.
art. Thank you.
Canonical art.
It may be incorrect because of how I've set up the streaming. We will have to cross that bridge when we come to it.
Oh, let's
Oh,
see.
exciting.
So, Shamini, over to you. What's your character?
Right, love my character. Love the start of my character that you may or may not be seeing.
They're seeing the character, but they're seeing Emily Bates.
Oh, okay.
The videos are the wrong way around.
I'll mime along with the words you say. Okay, go.
Interesting.
This
Okay.
is so professional.
Tenebris is a drow.
There's like no lag. This is great.
I thought I was doing that really well, but that's probably not.
Okay, they know what she
coming
looks like.
across
They know what 10 looks like.
Okay.
There's a really important point to jump
yeah.
in here, though, right? So
Yeah.
even though we're saying races, right? These are
That's
races
true.
according to
Ten is not a drow.
races according to the D&D mechanics, right? So they have the
Yeah.
same sort of like stat block variations and all the kind of special abilities, but actually we're saying that essentially everybody is human. You just modify
Yeah.
yourself to
Which is-
give yourself the flavor you
Because
want.
there are aliens in the sci-fi setting, right? But we have not met any of them.
You don't know.
That
I'm
we're
not really
aware.
sure.
Oh, I thought that
I think.
that was confirmed that there
I feel
were
like there
some
were
on the fringes.
rumors, or there were
Right.
like you've heard it, but is
Rumours.
it real? So yeah, but which is also really exciting about what kind of future humans we all are. Because Tenebris, and I'm gonna say like a few things that haven't explicitly come up in game. So
Deep
not
lore
spoilers, but
incoming.
slight sneak peeks for you. So Tenebris is from a group of humans who have been genetically modified to suit a particular environment. And if you're aware of the drow species in D&D 5th edition, they live in the Underdark and have very good dark vision and very sensitive eyes to the sunlight. And that's all in my sort of concept due to sort of specific and deliberate genetic engineering. And I did a little science check talking about pointy ears because they are elves.
Yeah.
Why would why would pointy ears be of benefit? And my theory was that it isn't necessarily, but it sort of got carried along with selection pressure on other genes that happens.
It's like
to
male
also...
nipples.
Say that about everything, Simon.
I like this drink. It's like male nipples.
It's irrelevant to survival, but it may be attached to.
It's not a disadvantage to have it, basically.
Yeah, exactly. So cute little pointy ears, and mysterious magic powers.
Ooh, which we do not know anything
Don't know how
about,
they work.
and I'm so excited to find out. That is definitely a reason to
Next
tune in.
Crucially, they will be explained through scientific rationale.
Yeah.
So we're calling them magic, but
Everything.
they're not there.
Everything
Was
has
it,
to have an
any
explanation.
sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic?
Mm-hmm.
Arthur C. Clarke.
But we know how they work.
Yeah.
So we'll explain it to you somehow. Well, that's our challenge. And I've got a scientific concept for how I think all these things could go. And we'll see how good a job I do of justifying all the D&D 5e abilities.
Right, Bates,
There's a lot of
let's roll the
spells.
dice and see what we're going to get when we
Oh.
when we show Bates' character art. Right.
Oh, I thought you actually wanted me to roll the dice. I was ready.
Oh no! I meant
Nice.
for this podcast. I very easily made mistake. No, I meant figuratively roll the dice. Let's see.
Who's that?
It's Ali actually. But
Hey!
you're looking at a picture of Emily's character, Infinity.
This is Infinity or Infinite Sky 6000. She has a serial number which I don't have open, so I can't quite tell you what it
You
is.
don't
Where
have
is
it
it?
memorized.
I do not have it memorized.
Can't believe you
Okay, I've
haven't
got it.
memorised.
It's Infinite Sky 6000, serial number 86919726 PMGB 1530ML. And that was great, Ali. Well done. Really good.
For the
really good
listeners
lip
at
syncing.
home, Ali is perfectly mimicking. You wouldn't even know that he wasn't
Lip
speaking.
syncing.
The hand movements are the
Lip-syncing,
same.
Oh no.
Oh god, I don't want that image. No, stop it. Stop it.
I know the Macarena.
She is a droid in this world, so she is a robot. And Ali, please stop.
I've changed it back to the main screen. We're all good.
Okay. She's covered in these screens that have like constellations and pictures, and I have a reason for why that is, but it hasn't properly come up in game yet, so I'm gonna not fully explain that. But she is a robot, so but I wanted her still to have emotions because I'm quite an emotional person, and I liked the idea of someone experiencing emotions really strongly for the first time, and everything they experience is like really heightened. Well, again, I won't go into this too much, but the idea is she has, I think I've said this in the stream, there is a part of her that is an emotion suppressor. The idea being that potentially she is such a high-powered AI that emotions have and consciousness has potentially formed as part of that, which is a whole other thing that we haven't gone into yet, but there's a cool chat on around that. And her emotional suppressor is broken. And so she's woken up because she wakes up when everyone's on this ship. She was in a scrap heap and for some reason activates and sees these two lovely characters.
And the other crucial thing is that you didn't always used to be this form. Like you've actually gone. She's a character capable of interstellar travel.
Yeah, but
like
she could have flown through space as in the form she's in.
True. Okay. But like you look
don't
at somebody
know.
just standing on the ground. It's like
So
it's not like a
excited.
Captain Marvel-esque figure like that looks capable.
She's
of doing.
exactly that was slight inspiration actually.
Oh,
So
really?
that's exact. I love Captain Marvel. But she is technically D&D wise, she is a completely reskinned wood elf. Because wood elves have an ability where they are able to hide even if they're only partially obscured. And I thought if she's covered in these screens, she could change these screens to be the background. So she's going to be slightly better at stealth than maybe she would be otherwise. But
Such a funny
other than
place
that-
to like start with that, because I mean, like the screen thing is so wide ranging and it does so much stuff, and it's such a sort of a beautiful mechanic for just doing all sorts of stuff that it's like, it's funny that you were like, I know, I'll just be someone that sort of camouflages himself easily. I wonder how I do this. I'll do this with
it's,
screens, which are my very emotions. It's amazing.
it's actually a different way of getting to it. So how it came around, which I don't think I've talked to you guys about, I knew I wanted to play a druid. And when I started thinking about like how you could do like a sci-fi druid, I was like, ooh, cool. You could just be like really good at plants and stuff. And it was just always a bit and I kept coming to these spells and I was like, none of them work. Like, because druids actually have quite a lot of attacking spells, and I just kept getting like stuck. And then I thought about wild shape, and I was like, crap, how am I going to explain a human wild shaping like into another animal? This doesn't make any sense. So I was like, oh, but transformers can like and turn themselves into a different thing. So I was like, cool, I'll make a robot. And then I liked the aesthetic of stars, and I knew I wanted to be a circle of stars druid when I reached level 2, and they have to have a star map of some form. And so normally it's like they have a piece of paper, or they have a little mobile planetarium and stuff that they take around, or a little crystal that like projects stars onto walls and things. And I was like, wouldn't it be cool if her star map was just her body and like all the screens on her body? And then I was like, oh, okay, cool. What race should I make her to like try and make this work? And I saw the wood elf thing of being able to obscure yourself, and I was like, that works. And that was it.
You talking about it has given me so many ideas. It's so good.
Yeah, that's how Infinity arrived.
And then
Simon?
does that mean that my artwork has actually got my picture next to it?
Oh.
Yay! Oh, I'm the only one that it works for.
Oh, yours won't
Mime
work.
yourself talking at the same time.
I'm going to try and talk with lag. So this handsome gentleman here, there we go, is Uriel. This came up on a stream the other day, but not one of ours. His surname is Bosun. Uriel Bosun.
What?
Which
Like the particle?
No, bosun, like the person who fixes things on a ship.
But like the Higgs boson?
No, Bosun.
Oh.
Spelled
You mean like one of the fundamental particles?
No, for goodness sakes. No, it's short for boatswain.
Oh, boatswain.
Oh,
yeah.
Like on below deck.
Yeah, exactly.
Like on those Feynman
it's a nautical reference, and now that the wind's gone out of my sails trying to explain it.
Oh, very good, though. Very
it's
good.
really lovely. Well done, Simon.
Thank you. It's what I crave. So Uriel is a partly synthetic and partly organic person, born a man, but doesn't really want to be a man anymore, and has been gradually converting parts of his body into machinery. By this point in that process, we've got a mechanical arm, which I think is the right arm, if I remember rightly, which we're running as basically being like a monk weapon, because it packs a bit more of a punch than just an empty fist. And we've also got other things, like we're explaining the fact that he has dark vision, because we're actually running him as a dwarf, so he has dark vision because his eyes have been augmented in some way. He also has a breastplate as part of his kit, so he's actually got I think he might have the highest AC of everybody.
Mine's all right.
I think it's 16.
Wait, you're a monk. Why have you
Yeah,
got a breastplate?
how do you put breastplate?
Nobody told me otherwise. I sent you my character sheet before this all started.
Yeah.
I
think you're better off not having a breastplate, because I think your AC goes up as a monk with unarmored defense.
Get it off, Simon. Jesus.
Potentially, we'll look at it. We'll look at it later. We'll look at it later.
But the point is, there are additional things like that. And the reason that I wanted to run Uriel as a character was basically because I like the idea of monks having key points as sort of a form of internal energy, which immediately came to me as kind of a form of battery storage. So having some kind of electrical storage inside, and as he gets upgraded, as he goes further into the campaign, then that storage is increased in capacity, and so he gets more key points to various things.
It's a really good point as well, just from if you just think about cyborgs for a second, you're like, yeah, it looks great, but how the hell are you going to power that incredibly powerful piece of machinery that's stuck onto the side of your body?
Yeah.
And so the key thing is actually really...
The key thing.
Yeah, it's pretty crucial.
But and the other thing was which hasn't come up yet, so I won't.
Oh, there's so many.
Okay.
I realized I didn't give any of Infinity's actual backstory. She's a terraforming robot. So
oh yeah.
And she said this. She was sent to Braxigantu to terraform the planet. But she's had a memory wipe. She remembers arriving at the planet, and she doesn't remember anything until she woke up. Because we love an amnesia backstory,
Oh,
because then it's
exciting.
all down to
Yes,
Ali.
Yeah.
I actually love it. And Uriel's been really cagey about his backstory. And there was one point
Yeah.
where Infinity said something about having like traveled to the planet, and Uriel was all like, what? And then
Did
like,
you go? Or was it?
you avoid craft yourself? What is happening?
Well, it's already.
I don't know what it means, but I was so excited I had to like go back and find the bit just to be like, is it this bit? And then I was like, oh god, it's
It's
clue.
it's
a
already
clue,
come out
backstory clue.
in like it was like episode 2 or something that he's an example of a Synthian, so this religion that worships artificial life and sort of synthetic organisms.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But also that was one of my favorite inventions for the character, was referring to oh god, now who was it? Was it the Mechaniac? It was one of the early characters you meant as a friend of Alan. Because one of the symbols of the religion is the Allen key.
The Allen key.
I loved that. What I really love about our three characters is you've got Tenebris, who is like fully biological, Infinity, who is a robot, and then you've got Uriel, like, who is
desperately
in this, like,
trying to move from one to the other.
move from one to the other, and it's just really a really nice dynamic.
And really likes Infinity, and just does not care very much about Tenebris.
Yeah.
I think
we're trying to work on that.
But I think that's also like an interesting part of the whole sort of setup, is like, whereas D&D is obviously prescriptive, you choose a race and that's your race forever. Like, part of our setup is that you can move between the races should you wish, right? Like, so
Because we're not calling them races, are we? We're calling
I'd call them
Species
species
or-
in D&D, but I guess in ours, I don't know what they'd be called.
like if you're a dwarf, so I think of dwarves as being generally sort of cybernetic. That's my kind of shorthand. If you're a cybernetic person, you've probably got a dwarf stat block. But obviously, remove all the cybernetic stuff and do some other stuff to you. You stop being a dwarf and start being other things. I'm not sure.
Right. So if you took away all of the things that gave them the dwarf stats and did the genetic modification that, say, Tenebris has, they would go from being a dwarf to being a I see.
Yeah, maybe a drow elf. Right?
Yeah,
So
that makes sense.
the
Yeah.
races, they are fluid.
Nice.
And we have in the course of the campaign, we've met humans, but we have also met dwarves, meaning the reskinned dwarves for miners, people with augments. We've met a couple of elfin-like people, which I would assume would mean elves. Where, like, the guards at the gates going into the forest.
There's one
I
of
think
those
was there one
guards.
other one?
We
We've
haven't
met some interesting
specified
characters.
who.
I haven't really thought about that because I've just been so into the like, oh, they're just augmented humans in some way. I haven't really thought about it.
Like, I've found, like, playing it as we go, right? As soon as you stop saying, "Oh, you see a dwarf in the street" or something, you instantly end up in a different place in terms of like the characters you're talking about and the way that you're describing them and what you even expect from them. Like, if you just have to describe what they look like, it gives you a whole different set of like assumptions and.
That's
I
nice.
definitely forget when you're describing people. I forget that is the equivalent of
Yeah, same.
dwarf or
A couple of like gnomish people who have been like small.
For completeness, because I realised we've shown the character art for people who are watching the video or the stream. Shamini, can you just describe Tenebris' appearance? Because I don't think we've had a description of Infinity, but have we not had a description of Tenebris?
Oh, you mean for the podcast? Sorry, you said you were like, don't do a visual description. I forgot.
Yep.
There's also a podcast. So Tenebris has blue skin, white hair, and some very funky goggles that she protects her sensitive eyes with, and a cool leather jacket. And I have cosplay for my outfit, and I
It's
love
so
it.
good.
So into it.
I will only cosplay for my outfit and for my character under extreme duress, because
Your character's
Same.
bold and wearing monk robes tied with a very, very long rope.
100
Yeah,
feet
same.
of rope. I think we
100 feet
You must
back.
have
I
a
think we
winter
said
soldier on
50,
somewhere.
was it 50? I can't remember. But yeah, the most useful
way
part of the
longer
whole
than 50.
character is his belt that comes off at every opportunity.
Well, because we needed rope, and most D&D characters have rope, and we decided that our rope would be Uriel's
My belt.
belt.
So his arse is frequently
We're
out in this campaign.
under-equipped. So we arrived. So this is us all like meeting each other, having arrived in Vow, which it turns out. I mean, I presume maybe we knew this, but it turns out that this is mainly a mining colony. Like, it's just.
Do you want to know the
entirely
full name of VOW, which we never use? because it's
25D0?
five,
Two
something.
Yeah, everyone
it
go
is
to your
VOW,
notes.
VOW 25D0, and actually, it has a strap line which no one has ever seen, right?
Strapline.
But the strap line is a Churgo systems venture.
Oh no! Oh, I don't like that.
Who are they?
Oh god!
Wait, we can't
Oh,
take notes. This is not
wow.
character
No,
knowledge.
it's not canon.
We
It's not
don't
canon.
know this.
It's not.
Oh
it might
my
not be
God.
canon ever. Like it's
Yeah.
just.
I was expecting like Vow 25D0. At least it's not Slough or something like that.
You don't want to end up in Slough 25D0. That
The
would be
myth of
bad.
Slough has even carried on to like future planets in the Milky Way. And that's something I want to talk about, because I didn't realize until a few episodes in that we were still in like our galaxy, just like a
Yeah,
different
I'm
side.
just so used to in a galaxy far, far away, but obviously
Right.
we're humans.
I mean,
future.
But you
Humanity's
sort of touched on an
future.
interesting thing there. It's like, okay, we are a long way in the future, fine, right? But even given huge quantities of time, could we ever really leave our galaxy to go somewhere
Right.
else? Like, is that it's worth discussing?
And also
In Star
communicating, like communicating and organizing any kind of civilization that goes between galaxies. Is
So crucially, right, warp travel, which is essentially magic, does not exist.
Yeah, but is that in Star Trek? Is that all our galaxy? Is it like the
Yeah.
Alpha Quadrant and
but they get around the whole. So obviously they have warp travel to travel faster than light, but they also have subspace communication, which is instantaneous communication
Yes.
even over huge distances.
And obviously,
but
if
even
you
that's still within
assume
our
that-
galaxy. It's still within the Milky Way.
Yeah, but my point being that like they actually have a cohesive organization over incredible distances. Whereas like one of the things that I do like, and it has been a huge influence on Uriel, is the 40K universe. In that universe, communication is limited by like the speed of light, and so they're trying to organize a galaxy-wide empire with one central core, and so the edges are like just like rotting away and have no clue what year it is or what's
It's a
going
little
on.
bit different in the 40K universe. Like they do have like a way of communicating, but it's a sort of dreamlike instant communication where they're like, I think I know what this person's trying to say to me, but I'm not 100%
Yeah,
clear.
it requires a wizard on each end, and it's incredibly risky.
Yeah. Anyway, but like in this one, it is limited by the speed of light, right? A physical law. So you know you're getting information from the central kind of like core of the Alliance territories, which is hundreds of years out of date, as it were. I was thinking about this the other day, and I was just sort of thinking like, well, actually, you'd have this. I don't want to. No spoilers, I don't think, but you'd have this huge. Okay, all right, I'll just shut up. Okay, back to the story.
Is it? I
Watch
wanted to
the
ask
rest of the
you
show.
how Firefly inspired all your Alliance Outer Edges stuff.
Yeah,
is.
Firefly's an interesting one. So, I mean, obviously, in terms of that structure, yeah, it's there. But obviously, but they are all on one solar system.
Yeah, they're all moons, aren't they?
So it's very kind of compact, which deals with their like transmissions and they're traveling around. So that's how they get past that problem. They don't have to deal with this huge distance effect. But yeah, I mean, it's a bit annoying actually, because I sort of came up with it and then I was like, oh, that sounds like bugger. I've just done Firefly. I know.
I've just
I'll do it over huge
separately
distances.
created Firefly
Fucking
without
Firefly.
Nathan Fillion. Oh no.
Why?
Nathan Fillion,
Anyway.
the poor man's Brendan Fraser.
Absolutely.
Oh, no.
Seconded.
That
Look,
is
that's
so
that's still a good thing to be. If
Right.
you
Oh,
can
yeah.
slightly compared to Brendan. Oh
Yeah.
my god.
funny.
So we're in the Firefly universe.
So here you are in the Firefly universe,
But
right?
stretched.
And you're in this
Yeah.
shuttle, and you've landed on Vow 25D0 to a good systems venture, and you're just trying to leave this shuttle, and you get into a rumble with some ne'er-do-wells.
Ivo Cabrera.
Eva Cabrera! Eva Cabrera,
Very
mate.
good.
Yeah.
I have
Oh,
no
nice.
Cabrera. Do you remember the names of his thugs?
Muggsy
Yep, yep,
Scranton.
yep, I do. Oh.
Istvan.
Yes, that is the names of the thugs. Muggsy. Scrant.
The only
My
non-Scottish people
notes
we've
for
met.
the first episode are brilliant, and then everything else
few
is
others.
awful.
Why did you decide on Scottish as the accent for?
Dwarves,
You can
all of
do
the
it.
dwarves are Scottish.
Honestly, I was thinking about. I went through a lot of
Gimli.
different accents, and it just worked best. That's the only. It's so sad. It's shameful. So yeah, you did that. You did your rumble in the shuttle, and you sort of reached a bit of an impasse there, and then you got. Well, someone came along and chased off these people, and
We love
took
Sandy.
you-
We miss Sandy.
Oh,
Sandy,
Sandy,
who you really like.
baby.
for reasons unknown. Anyway,
She
yeah, so-
saved
and-
us.
Well, you know, it was a sort of yeah. Anyway, so she took you to the leader of the camp, who's like the foreperson.
Not as good as Sandy. Can't remember her name.
Sandy will overthrow them eventually.
Reeve?
Yeah.
Was it Reeve?
Reeve. It is Reeve, and Reeve gives you this quest Let's not shy away from calling it that. And it is to go and find out who's been smuggling magnetite out of the mines and put a stop to it.
It was great.
And
we should say we also established that it was a mining colony with one of my favorite phrases of Sharmani's character's accent.
That was our cover story. No, that was not because it was a mining story.
No. You dig came up because you asked. She said, "Do you know what we do here?" And you went, "You dig?" And everyone heard Dick. Everyone fell about laughing, and thus the chaos of the stream was truly born.
Really set the tone.
And really did. That was episode 1.
I really like the setting though of like this kind of like mining camp. Like it was because they were all like pods. They were kind of standard template IKEA, almost like, you know, you go and get to Skarsgård and you set up your colonial outpost on a new planet. And except there was like
shipping containers.
Yeah. And then there was the tavern, Movers
and Shakers, actually. But
sorry,
you never saw the Shakers bit because everybody just calls it Movers. But if you'd actually read the name of the tavern, it's called Movers and Shakers. But
at this rate, by the way, we are going to finish this recap tomorrow.
Yeah, let's. Okay, so we went to a bar. We met Chortle, who was like the mechanic, and Medicanic, or so she was. Yeah. I assume like a kind of cleric of this world is the kind of vibe I got, because she could heal robots or humans. She could do a bit of both, so that was great. We then went to a bar. I'm going to rapid fire this. Yeah. We went to a bar and had a very unsuccessful bar trip. Well, Infinity poured a drink all over herself.
You went to a bar on the like you met an NPC who was like, "Hey guys, I'm going to the bar. You want to go to the bar?" And you were like, "No." And then the NPC came back a bit later and was like, "Hey guys, I'm actually walking to the bar now. You want to come with?"
No, that is how it went.
Then you got to the bar and you did nothing.
The thing is, we got to the bar and then you described you described in very precise detail. Right, so there are these 3 rows of tables and then there's the bar, and it was like, this is a battle map.
And then we saw some people, we ignored them, drank, inspected our drinks quite a lot, and then left.
But who did we meet? We met one of my favourite characters, Ballsack Boy.
Ballsack. We didn't meet is a strong word.
We just saw him across the bar and we're like, there's a person with a spherical raisin for a head.
I think what we established in the bar scene was just how awkward all 3 of our characters are.
Yeah.
And so it was like, oh wow, we're not going to be good at charisma at all, even though one of our characters is a sorcerer. And so we left the bar, some of us more forcibly.
We left the bar having achieved
and then we found Darax.
Someone attacked us for no reason, and he was really like zombie-like and like.
Yeah, Darax Proletov.
Yeah,
how do we know his name? Oh, afterwards we found out, right?
Yeah,
you dealt with him pretty.
We didn't kill him because
we knocked him out with our powers. I made him run away by screaming in his brain.
Consequences.
So
Uriel knocked him out with genital pain, which we then covered the science of whether you could actually fall unconscious by being punched in the dick.
It's now such a move.
Top tier.
Left him there, and then you went off and stayed in a little.
Went to bed.
The Roach Motel. We stayed in the. The other thing we should mention before we move on was the drinks that we were drinking at the bar. We still haven't quite worked this one out. Was riddled with metal fragments.
Tiny bits of metal in.
Which were also in Darax, which my character saw.
Infinity
when you looked
opened
again,
him up.
neither of you got them.
And saw tiny bits of metal in his flesh.
Yeah.
Sounds like a clue to
me.
me.
You looked, didn't see it, so we left
greyish
that
metal. I guess most metal's greyish, but
yeah.
Went and stayed at the Roach Motel, which just turned out to be a shipping container with a fire in it, and some lovely people you talked to.
Yes,
Jamie, though.
Jamie's friend.
Cock.
What was Jamie's friend's called? We don't know.
No, we don't know. We didn't get the person who spoke about Jamie. We didn't get their name, I don't think.
Yeah. Neither did we ever meet Jamie. We should really keep an eye out.
No, we've got to find Jamie.
They came to be close to Jamie.
Anybody's name there, did you?
No,
I don't think we did, but I feel like we would have asked, but we just didn't. Yeah. We named a cockroach Cock.
About that.
I say we.
You.
Yeah, it was me.
You woke up
Yeah.
And then you had to get to the mine, which was not in the same place as the colony. So the colony is like down the hill, and then up the hill is
The whole big
mine.
road.
It was 31.3 degrees Celsius. I made a note of the temperature.
It's warm, gosh.
That was in your room, right?
Oh, that was in my room. Ah.
Yeah, you did this on the stream as well when we did the recap.
It was the height of summer, and it
Yes.
So
hot.
hot.
You
I
were
was
melting,
so hot.
taking your buttons off.
It was on
No,
Pi Day.
it
It was
was
on
not.
22nd of the 7th.
Was it?
I
Wow.
love that you've noted
That was
down the
so long
temperature
ago.
in your room for every
I mean,
stream.
it was.
It was very warm.
For those of you who are interested, right now it's 22.6
Oh,
degrees.
That's much
Oh,
nicer.
It's 10 degrees cooler than when it was when I was originally recording these episodes.
My God.
Mine's a nice cool 19.
Anyway,
I
so
don't
you
know.
crept aboard to get to the mine. You crept aboard a truck, headed off towards the mine.
Easily,
Got on board
no
the
problems.
truck. It's always
There
worth
was
going
no
back and
issues
watching.
getting on the truck.
It's probably worth just going
Watch
back and
the
listening
clips.
to watching that one because that was a belter. So you got on the thing, and then as you were going down, it's all kind of self-contained as well. It's quite easy to understand. So
Yeah.
as you were going down up the road to the mine, you were, I don't know, accosted. Attacked is a bit of
Yeah.
a strong word, but you know, there was some large bird action.
Third song.
Wait, we missed out one of the great moments of the campaign, which was Shamini intimidating somebody into silence.
That was great.
Persuading.
Sorry, persuading into silence, like grasping on the back of this truck, grabbing onto, I think, my belt, probably.
Yeah, it was always
That's
your
absolutely your
belt.
bell.
Somebody
I
looks
got
up
spotted. I got spotted. I was trying to roll stealth, but they saw me and they looked at me and they were just about to like tell the person next to them. So I just went.
And rolled a 24 charisma or something like that.
Oh,
It was.
yeah, it was very good.
Oh,
Yeah.
Also, you have part of that tableau is that Uriel at the same time is standing on the top of the truck with this belt and his robe just completely flapping in the wind.
Yeah.
And Infinity is just sort of holding him up as well at the same time.
Yeah, you were
It's just-
both. There was, yeah. It was
Yeah.
great. But then,
Teamwork.
giant Flappy Bird, it was so big that we had to have an entire science check discussion on
80
the world's
meter
biggest
wingspan.
birds and things that can fly and how cool pterosaurs are, and also bats. Bats are very cool.
Yeah.
And how
Mhm.
it was just abnormally large. And also, Ali mentioned that it had like grey streaks running through it, like almost metallic. And we were like, oh my
Yeah.
God, this is grey metal is tying everything together.
Mhm.
Oh, yes,
yeah.
that. So yeah, and then but you managed to you kind of dealt with that. That was
Yeah.
hair raising actually because it was
Yeah,
tight.
That was great. It was a race
and
and it was ours.
I got knocked off of the
Made it-
back
What?
of the truck
It
and
fell
bounced on
off.
the road.
yeah, God, Uriel came
What I liked about that fight, can I just say, is that we didn't roll damage or like anything. We were just rolling to hit, and you weren't telling us like because we were using like the gun
Yeah.
on the top of the truck.
Rail
And I
gun.
really
Kind of-
enjoyed like having no idea like if we were like making any kind of impact or not.
Yeah,
It was good. I enjoyed it.
It was tight. And then you got to the mine, and then you got into the mine. You met the people who you were driving the truck with.
They were
who
great.
You made friends
The
with. They
minister and
Roses.
took- The minister.
And
Dinah
we're all floating.
Clam
Dinah
chef?
Klabashev.
Yeah, Dinah
I've
Klabashev
written-
and the minister.
I've written clam chef.
There was yeah. Anyway, so you got in, and Dinah Klabashev and the minister helped you out so that you didn't get caught on the way, and then you disappeared into this sort of scrap metal graveyard that surrounds the mine. So the mine has a fence around it, which is guarded, and then it's between the fence and the mine itself is this sort of graveyard of old bits of scrap and machines that have been rusted out of use and all this kind of stuff. And by the time you turned up, it was approaching night, I think. So you sort of went and hid in the graveyard, right? And you'd found
Scrapyard, not a graveyard.
And at this point, we found out that
sorry, scrap graveyard.
Braxigantu has 2 moons. That was something that we learned at this point that was interesting to me.
really?
And they were
Yeah.
yellowish. That was something that we learned.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then you'd found a plot relevant sort of map thing, and you'd received a plot relevant message as well, telling you that you needed that someone was going to do something in this scrapyard at a certain time. So you staked it out, and nothing happened.
And they didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I'm
then
wondering if
started
it was
to-
underground, all of that stuff.
We're up there where there was an up and there was a down.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
There was an up as well. Yeah. Anyway.
And then
Whatever
we had
happened,
to
it
get
didn't.
on the rebreathers.
Oh my
And then the best decision that Ali ever made to put breathing apparatus in the game.
Into the mine
Yeah.
we go.
They went to the mine to get out of the cold. They just made it in, and of course it was dusty in there, so there were rebreathers.
There was a lady who was trying to stop us getting in, and who just ran away and got a little lift down the mine shaft. We were just like, oh, there she
Really
goes.
slow elevator.
Oh yeah, the awkwardly slow lowering down.
So you followed her down into the mine, which is a sort of huge hole in the ground. That's what mines are. And then you got to the bottom, and there have been earthquakes happening as well. That's crucial.
And they were getting
That
more
was
frequent, they
crucial.
said. Yes.
More frequent
And stronger.
Yeah.
So as it's been happening, there've been earthquakes sort of happening, but you don't know why.
Oh
And
my god.
so you've gone down into the. You went down into the mine. You pretty easily, you solved my hidden mine shaft puzzle by just being like, "I'll roll a really high survival roll."
Mine shaft puzzle.
Footsteps.
Oh yeah, we just followed her footsteps to where she'd gone. Yeah,
Into the holographic wall. Yeah.
Solved it so simply that you don't even remember it as a puzzle. You just it's a simple series of steps to do.
We just looked at the footsteps, Ali. It was very easy.
And we also encountered. Was it at that point we encountered the holographic wall?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
which was just
hiding
was just put my hand through
passage.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we came across Ari and Gronk.
Oh no!
Oh,
Uriel made
Ari
Tenebris
and
go
Gronk.
first.
So there was a little passageway through the holographic sort of illusion.
Yeah.
They went through, and there were some people waiting for them on the other side.
One had a chainsaw.
Yeah. Was it a chainsaw for a hand, or was it just a chainsaw? I think it was just a chainsaw.
No, she just had a chainsaw, I think.
And I started raining blood. This was the episode when Ali was in a monsoon in his conservatory.
Yeah, the audio on that one's not my fave.
It was she shreds you with a chainsaw. Hammering down.
It sounded like you were in a waterfall.
It was I listened back to it and I thought, you can understand what I'm saying if you try.
What you want from a podcast?
Yeah.
I didn't put any filters on it to try and help at all. Don't worry about it, Ali.
But that fight went. I got pretty messed up. 10 went down. Oh no! Because we had the fight, and then
10 was fine until
had an artifact. What we later learned was an artifact, which was this object that, when dropped onto the ground, sent out a shockwave. And we had to take con saving throws, and Tenebris, with 1 hit point left, was sent flying into the wall and knocked unconscious. And then Ari ran away at that point.
Ari ran.
Yeah, and Infinity chased him with a little bit of anger.
Infinity got a little bit scary. Infinity's usually a very gentle, calm, and happy robot.
She loves everyone.
And there was this moment where Tenebris was unconscious on the floor, and she caught this poor kid who just I don't know.
So much worse
when
you think about her as a robot. The anger is so much worse, isn't it?
The way I'm kind of trying to move her is that when she, how in Peter Pan, Tinkerbell is so small that she can only hold one emotion inside her at a time. Infinity can only feel one emotion at a time because she doesn't quite understand them, so it becomes kind of overpowering. And so when she got angry and sad that Tenebris had hit the floor, she was
there was this terrifying moment where she had this boy and she called back, Tenebris, are you alive? I think, or are you okay?
He was 100% dead if you had.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, oh God, I'm fine.
And to be honest, the only reason he wasn't immediately dead was me kind of going, okay, Emily is going to call back because otherwise Infinity's going to go a very, very dark way very quickly. So
she is a dark character though. It's the
she's
whole.
Not. She's lovely. She's sunshine and rainbows.
That's why it's so
dark. She's got
dark.
stars all over her. It's lovely. She turns into animals.
She'll dismember you with a star on her stars on her face.
That's what I
burning
really
with a cold
like
fury.
I love about your 3 characters. It's there is darkness, strong darkness for each of them, and you lean into it at different times, but it's always there.
Sunshine and rainbows.
That said, you did let that guy live.
And we also brought Tenebris back to life with a health potion, which we, in a science check, described as a nanite potion.
Nanite.
Yeah. Nanite injection.
Yeah, straight into the bum.
Oh yeah.
I feel like Nanite's gonna come back because it's an important piece of tech for this universe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, you did that. You tried to interrogate Gronk. That didn't go particularly well.
We killed
leveled
them.
up.
We killed Gronk. Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
Uriel killed Gronk.
You killed Gronk.
We.
Oh yes.
The party killed Gronk.
I think it was very much you.
The party
actually.
had a disagreement about what we should do with Gronk, at which point Uriel killed Gronk.
Well, we were gathering data about that artifact. Uriel wanted to gather information about what the artifact was and how it worked.
That's true. The terrifying artifact that basically just being dropped had caused major destruction.
So I think we tried like waving it as a wand, tried bonking Gronk over the head.
Hit her on the head with it.
And then we were like nuts to this. Just, I think I punched her in the groin,
And then I think
probably.
Oh no,
Punched her in the groin.
Uriel, not again.
Uriel classic.
Yeah.
Oh god, I was about to say another fight, but that hasn't even happened yet. God, a lot has happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was once you'd done that, you had a quick nap, had a long nap, and then you
the boy
woke
had
up.
told us of a secret of a way to where the others were.
Yeah, we did. It
It
was,
was along a river. And then
yeah,
he said
through the
something
sunken
about
river, alongside the ravine.
wall that he couldn't describe.
And then we very successfully navigated the river, and there were no issues at all.
Rivers,
with that.
easy. Water, not a problem for us.
And yeah,
And then we found the wall.
we found the wall.
Wait, we missed over a whole bunch then.
Oh no, we
Let's
have
skip
missed a
ahead.
bunch because we
Because
missed the camp.
we went down the river, we went to a big
The camp!
cavern.
Oh no.
But there was the cavern first. We descended down into this thing that had loads of holes all over the shop, and then giant centipedes came out to play,
Yeah,
which
that happened.
Uriel was useless against because they had no crotch to punch. That was the crucial thing. And they were doing poison damage, which was also not fun. But I think I might be the only one who actually got bitten because I think you rolled quite
I
poorly
didn't.
on the attack rolls for the centipedes.
Tenebris got munched. Her face got munched.
Don't remember.
Or did you make because I remember the poison actually didn't come into effect, but you had a con save must have made, and I had a resistance against it, which was
Yes, that was
dwarven, but was saying there's not much organic. It might have just bitten into a cable or something.
Yeah.
But we had that, and then we took the exit tunnel with converging veins of metal.
You're doing this so specifically, Simon. Like we took the exit tunnel and followed down for 5
I am reading my notes. And then we entered into a large kind of cave that went into a ravine. We had a trap. Ali's discovered traps.
Ali found traps. Oh,
I was just looking through
terrifying.
words, and I thought, wait.
trap.
And then we found this kind of quarry bit, which had the camp in. And there was a safe, which we opened. Tenebris got knocked out. It was only gems inside. There was, what was it? There was a list inside. There was a book that had the list inside.
So just to be clear, when you left the centipede tunnel, you walked for a bit, and then what happened was the tunnel opened out into basically a cliff face, like an underground cliff face. So you were sort of walking along a little sort of road path cut into the side, but all on your right hand side, I think it's just nothingness, and you can hear like the wind blowing through this sort of underground space, and you obviously can't see the other side or anything. Anyway, yeah, and you walked along that, and you reached this camp.
And so there was nobody there, right? So
No one was there.
it was booby trapped, like it was like rigged as a trap, and then there was the safe with a book that had Mr. Jumbles,
The book
Harry
wasn't
the
in
horse.
safe.
Sorry, no, the book was
in the
separate. Yeah,
camp and gave us the password to the safe.
but it said Mr. Jumbles, Henry the horse, Pasta Bolognese, and then the code for the safe.
Which was the date, which was a date.
A date.
And then
We have no reason to know what any of the other things are for.
no. And then we descended through the tunnel because there was an extra exit bit that we noticed. And then we went into this huge cave with the wall.
The wall.
And all the crystals.
Also, some of the little details, because Ali did if people want to go back and listen to one episode, the previous episode is definitely the one to do.
Gorgeous. Definitely the one.
Because a lot happened, but also we described the cavern as brilliantly lit. There was this immense wall, crystalline structure with a light behind it. Our tongues tasted salt. The air was vibrating at what felt like the resonant frequencies of our chest. Crystal trees were growing up from the floor of the cavern. And there was just this low-pitched rumble emanating from the wall. It was really evocative.
It was
Very cool.
so emotive, and like I honestly, now you reread it and I kind of vaguely remember most of it, but I think I was just so like
You could feel it at the time.
Yeah,
You just
it was amazing.
Oh, and there were plants. That was the other thing I made a note of. There were plants.
Yes,
growing
there
in
were
that cave.
plants in
And-
underground, just freaking plants everywhere.
And I think I've said it in an episode. They were Infinity's favorite plant, which worries me slightly that they were around the
Coincidence.
I don't know, coincidences. Anyway,
And then we went into a massive fight because we met the big bad that we heard a lot about.
yeah,
We heard about Raunak. We'd heard that Raunak was no good. We sort of had asked someone, who's doing this smuggling then? And they were like, oh, probably Raunak, he's a smuggler. And Reeve, or possibly Sandy, had said, well, that's, the scale of this operation is a bit beyond what we'd usually expect for Raunak. But once we got down there, he clearly had his gang, the two that we'd already dealt with. The old lady was
Spooey
there,
pads!
chased, and yes, some sort of a healer for some reason. And the two of them, Raunak and this other lady, were on two bits of scaffolding flat up against this wall, this immense wall, and they were doing something that we weren't quite sure what, but
pressing against
it. Maybe it involved chanting. Do we think I
don't remember chanting.
I don't have notes of it.
Just the feeling that they were doing something that they had.
It was a clear ritual of some form was going on.
Something was happening. And when they saw us, they turned around and he tried to, Darax was there.
Came out of nowhere
Darax.
with a steel chair, knocked me down in one round.
Yeah, Raunak had a gun, although I don't think he hit anyone with it, if I recall correctly.
No.
The Darax attack was absolutely terrifying for everybody involved, I have to say. Because when he unleashed, I don't think I'd quite grasped how powerful he was. It's like, oh yeah,
took Uriel down in one.
They're level 2 now, they'll be fine.
Yeah, Uriel, the first hit, Uriel was on the floor.
Cass posted a great meme
left,
in the Discord of that moment. It was just like Odin from Thor Ragnarok, just going when the party sees the monk go down in one hit, oh shit.
So if you hadn't because Infinity had one spell left, they were able to heal Uriel.
Yeah.
But
otherwise,
without that, they would have been stabilizing and then hoping he and Tenebris could have finished the fight.
Tenebris doesn't have any healing spells, but does have a fuck ton of other spells left.
She finally used
She's been not using any of them this whole campaign, and she finally just started blasting and flinging her hands around. And I was very proud of the bit where Darax went down at one point, which was great. So did Uriel take Darax down again?
No, Infinity took.
Infinity took
with the guiding bolt, which we explained in the
nice. Uriel had a pop at him, and then Infinity.
And then, totally unexpectedly, this other figure on the other scaffolding saw this, reached out and clearly did something, and he was back up again. Which none of us, we were like, we've killed him, but no, he'd been on the floor, he's straight back up again. So I was very proud of my badass, just sort of turning around, blasting him for 5 hit points, which was enough, and then carrying on again.
That was really good.
That was so cool.
And then the wall started
splitting
to crack down the middle. And Infinity saw this and was like, we have to go. And I used my wild shape.
It was so close.
And turned into a Star Panther.
And Robot Star Panther.
We tried so hard
we all jumped
to stop this. And in the end, it didn't even matter because...
The thing is, because we were there to stop the smuggling, right? And I think we had a conversation with Raunak and we were like, stop doing the smuggling now. And he was like, yeah, I am. This is way more important. And we were like,
okay, mission accomplished.
But Uriel's idea was Uriel had a really clever idea of this, this MacGuffin, this magical thing. Was really powerful, and he was throwing it at the wall where Raunak was trying to shake him off the scaffold.
That was a really good idea.
And I rolled a nat 1.
Yeah,
this was such a bugger. We were so close to stopping whatever.
Was it 1 hit point?
Do we know it would have stopped though? It might not have stopped.
I think it might not have stopped.
He was on 1 hit.
We'd have had to get her as well, and the old lady had legged it in the middle of the fight, just not wanting to be part of it.
Yeah.
So there's 2, just to be clear, there's 2 women, there's 2 sort of ladies in this. There's an old lady who they've met before who just legged it straight out of it, and then there's another lady who they'd never seen before who was on one of the towers.
Had some sort of healing powers.
And who was...
But then the wall started a light started emanating from the wall, and it just destroyed, from what we can tell, Raunak and this woman who was
And the
on
towers
patrol.
they were on, it just burst
Yeah,
into
they
flames.
just
burnt through everything.
Yeah, burnt through it.
While we're running away.
And we're like charging away, and
That's the
that's where
cliffhanger.
we were.
But also, and the thing that really has thrown me about this is that Infinity thinks she's somewhere else.
Yeah.
Like, she sees a
Infinity
totally
is having
different
visions.
environment, and we're just like, right. It was like, there was a moment when you were like, right, so you're on the back of this giant steel panther. What do you want to do? And it was like, what the fuck am I supposed to do in this situation? I go where the panther goes.
I follow the big panther. Yeah, and
Yeah,
so
the
Infinity, every time
hallucinations.
she's had a long rest, has had like visions of because Infinity doesn't sleep as such. We sort of say she's defragmenting and rebooting and stuff like that. But she's had these like visions of like running water and things like that, and it's all been very cryptic and very cool, and I very much enjoyed it. And then when we were in the middle of this fight, it was suddenly like, cool, you're in like this crystal jungle, and I was like, wait, what's happening? So yeah, that's where we'll be picking up.
Oh, God, a lot has happened. Like,
A lot has happened. A lot has happened.
That is the plot summary. Yeah, I'm keeping in mind all the various clues. I want to know the clues that Ali's been sprinkling through. I want to know the clues about the PC's backstories.
but that's all the stuff that's
Yeah.
happened in the past. What is happening in the future?
It's happening in the future.
Segues. Oh, just
Funny,
before
you
we get
should
onto
say
that,
I don't think
Oh.
we should do that yet. I think because we've got a couple of questions from.
Oh, yes, true.
The question.
I say a couple. We've got one really that we should.
asked
do.
for questions.
can I just say before we get onto the question,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Sharmini, I love how your character is like clearly trying to not do all the stuff that she does, like like she's a sorcerer and never casts
in
spells.
denial.
Like in the first fight, you like I was like, so they've
That
all
was
cut,
great.
and look what's obviously going to happen. They'll all fight, and you just belt it. You let.
I was like,
I'm out.
Bye.
Scoped out.
Oh, yeah, you just tried to walk up like,
You're like, I'm going to leave.
good luck on your bar fight.
Classic.
Like,
Yeah.
Okay, so
While
you
you
have a
do
question.
while you do that question, I'm going to pop to the bathroom.
Okay.
But carry on.
All right, it's a question for
I'll be back
Ali.
in a sec. Yeah.
Cool.
Oh.
Okay, so this is for you from Andy. Does Ali have multiple storylines stacked up, which then depend on the characters as to which one gets used? Or is it that the character's actions make small variations to a more narrow path? I.e., how much are you railroading us?
That's a great question, Andy. I can't. I really don't like railroading. Nobody does, right? But I think
There's a place for minor railroading. If you
So
like, I think especially in a podcast like this, where
Yeah.
you kind of need the story to advance and you don't just want it to be stagnant. I think there's a very real case for railroading.
So I definitely railroaded you when you got into the mine. I was like, there is one direction you can go. Do you wish to go that way? And then it was a bit like, yeah, well, what are you going to do? So that's true. But then I think Sharmini was saying this, that like certainly when you get to like key decision points, you can, like the thing with I didn't know how that the wall was going to go. I didn't think it was going to go like that. That's for sure.
okay.
So that's like, that has changed things. But also, like, I do know there's a lot of backstory. And I think, like, backstory is basically the beginning of a story, right? I know that sounds really obvious, but, like, it's where a story starts. So even though we come in sort of halfway through all these backstories, right, that story has begun, and it's going to, and so it has a shape already. So, no matter what the characters do, they're always going to have that backstory, which is going to pull them towards something. So in that way, it's not really railroading, but it is like there is a force that is sucking you towards it, and it doesn't matter how you get there, you're probably going to end up in the same place.
Is there anything other than maybe how we responded to the wall that we've done that you were like, what? Why are you doing this, you crazy people?
Yeah.
I
mean,
all of it, yeah.
Not going to the bar, you've already said. Like, you forced us into that bar.
Yeah, I railroaded you into the bar, for sure, and then you just refused to deal with any of the stuff in
I
there.
thought we did. I tried to talk to someone, and then they just ignored me. And then, so I was like, "Cool, Infinity doesn't want to talk to people now."
I didn't really railroad you. I sort of railroaded you into the bar. You could have said no, but I did think you were going to go to the forest, and I had I had a number of things, like a number of storylines have been pruned because that's not what happened.
Going to the forest, we missed.
I had to admit to Ali today, but I can't tell the rest of you yet why Tenebris decided that she wanted to go to the forest and then very abruptly decided she didn't want to go to the forest.
It was like
anymore.
a cat. It was like
And
letting
one
a
day
cat outside.
I will tell you why that was.
And there was all this like, oh cool, we're gonna go to the forest rather than be in this bar. That will be great. And then there was a big discussion about it. We left. It was very funny. It's done very well on TikTok. And then we went to the forest. We started.
And
to
we
go
had
to the
a
forest,
fight.
got attacked.
Yeah.
Had a fight. And then Tim was like, I don't want to go anymore. We were like, okay, we'll go to the Roach Motel then.
If anyone wants to throw any guesses my way, points.
I have a theory, but I don't want to say it.
But also thinking about it, like you guys are a good party because obviously you want to do whatever it is that you want to do, and that lots of times I'm like, I don't want that. It's happening. And then, but at the same time, like you are aware that you have a thing that has been given to you to do, which is summoning you to a place. So you're not just going to be, you're not one of those party who's like,
to you.
yeah, about that
would
quest,
be us.
I'm not
That
into it
wouldn't be
anymore.
the
Should we
party,
just
that
go
would
and
be
live in the
us.
woods? Like, yeah, you are like, you're taking it on. So that's great. So I don't need to, it's like I don't have to worry about having to railroad you. You're going to go there.
Yeah, and you've got Tenebris, who is very big on the job and get the job done. And then you've got Infinity, who will do whatever it takes to keep the party together. So I think with our two characters, it kind of just goes, we shall do plot. If Tenebris wants to do plot, congratulations, we're doing plot, because Infinity will be like, we're doing plot, and Uriel will do whatever Infinity tells him to do. So it literally, like, it's like a little chain of events. As long as Tenebris wants to do something, we're all like,
so interesting
A lot
now.
of power.
What's so interesting now is that, like, when you, at the end of this arc, right, this first little adventure, then it really will, the rails will come off. And it'll be like, you just are on this planet.
Oh no, really?
What do you want
to do? Prepare for that. I need to mentally prepare for that, because
yeah, absolutely.
But that's why, backstory is going to be really important there, because those are the drivers, and obviously the world, like there's a lot of world out there. So I don't know what parts of that world you're going to want to.
Yeah, there's a lot to. Yeah.
Probably a very big like fireside chat that all of our characters need to have, like about ourselves. We could probably do a whole episode of just us chatting.
Shopping episode.
But that's Act 1 of the show, basically, like kind of going up until the wall and the Braxigantu wall.
Finished to me. We're still running away from a wall, doing something we don't know what it is.
You make it, right?
But that's what Ali's described it as. This is kind of like Act 1 almost.
Maybe the rest of it will just take place underground. You're like, you never made it out.
Yeah. No, we're escaping the crystal hell.
There was a bit where we nearly all fell down a ravine, and we probably would have all died.
Apart from scary. Once again, Uriel's belt.
The belt.
That was close.
That was the. I think I got
like an 18 on strength.
I think it was a nat 20 even. Like it was a very well timed lucky roll. Otherwise, end of campaign.
It was really bad.
But that's Act 1. What is the plan for Act 2 going forwards, Sharmini, in terms of how we're going to do the show?
The format.
The format. Everybody's favourite F word.
You thought about format.
So go back slightly to when we were talking about like how did the RPGeeks get together and end up doing this? We have all had so many conversations about what the best way to combine these two elements are. I've had so many lunch dates with Ali about this as well, and discussions on trains on the way back from.
I didn't get any lunch.
Early days. This is before the idea had materialized, when Ali was like, I want to do this, how do we do this? So we have now come up with a new tweak. We have thus far been doing the campaign, the Dungeons and Dragons and Science campaign, 1 week, and then doing the DnDebrief the following week, so that we've got plenty of time both for playing and for science chatting. But we have a different plan. We have a new plan.
We want to play the game more.
We want to play the game more often.
But also, we also want to, I think, tie in the science a bit more, rather than having it be two separate entities. Like the whole idea of this is it's Dungeons and Dragons and science. And at the moment, it's Dungeons and Dragons,
and then
science.
there's the science.
And science, yeah.
So I think with this, we get to play more, which is good. More stressful for Ali, but he's got plenty of spare time. And we actually get to sort of link in the science, I think, a lot more.
So the idea is going to be that going forward, we will have one format every Wednesday live at 7 p.m. on Twitch, which will be basically the first couple hours, minus a little bit of faffing, will be D&D campaign, fun adventures. And then for the last 40 minutes or so of each Wednesday evening, one different person each week, will be talking about some of the science that's come up in previous episodes. So
well, I
imagine all in one go.
I imagine it's going to be similar to what happened in our one shot when we've trialed the idea. In that also there will probably be some science that comes up in the episode that we will initially be able to discuss because we'll have some expertise.
That's true, and we can decide, because some things we just like chatting about off the cuff, and sometimes it's nice to go away and be able to prep stuff. So we can do a nice little mix of, hey, what just came up, and also, hey, I looked up some stuff from a previous week.
But to say, when we're doing the ones within the episode, we won't be breaking the flow of the story at all. We won't ever tangent in the middle of a really dramatic
chat of opportunity,
which we haven't done for a while, but there is always the option.
I like them when they have come up, though.
It's just sometimes you don't want to do it in the most dramatic moment to completely break tone and things. You know what I mean? So
we did
some bits
actually in the last episode when we had the discussion between arteries and veins.
We did.
You didn't want to go through the tunnel. You were like, oh yes, but arteries the veins. Suddenly,
the one before that, Ali described the centipede's legs scrunching up, and Simon, you were by the way,
it's hydraulics, and also their Scutagera, I think is the name of the species. Sent everybody nightmare fuel.
Mm-hmm. There are times when things are short enough and simple enough that we can throw in some really fun
the geek
facts,
urge is overwhelming, and you're just like, I want to talk about science.
Yeah.
Me in social situations trying not to talk about mostly Warhammer. Just holding it in.
I put a lot of those science clips on TikTok as well. If you're not following us on TikTok,
do it.
Please do. I often trim out either fun things that have happened in the campaign, or just fascinating science tidbits. And just sort of 60-second or less clips, and you can go through the previous ones on our. And
they've been very successful. I've got to say, TikTok is really. I imagine many people who are watching this probably discovered us from TikTok. Hello if that's you. And you're here. Shamini's doing a fantastic job with it. Got to say.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, we love you, Shamini. You're the best.
Oh, good, correct. That is all.
But also, if you watched it and you like it, and other people who are into D&D but maybe haven't picked up on this because they're like, oh, it's a science show or something, get those people to come and watch it for the D&D, and
get the science people into D&D. If you like science, I can guarantee you will like D&D. It's too soft and nerd coin. You got to do it.
We know our audience. It's us.
Exactly.
Storytelling. It's like sci-fi and storytelling and great films and all of the above rolled into one. It's brilliant.
If you like our show, you'd probably be our friend. That's
our motto.
Yeah. That's Infinity's motto.
Parasocial there.
Parasocial.
You can't spell parasocial without social.
Right, so I'm gonna plug a bit of our socials some more then, if there's nothing else anyone wants to say.
No, I think that's everything.
So hopefully this has been useful to some of you who might not have known all this information. If you've watched every single episode and you still came to hang out with us today and you're still listening to this, you are the true heroes.
I think there are a couple of bits
we love you
in this.
There's behind the scenes secrets and things that hopefully have been satisfying. I've had a great time this evening, so thank you all.
Guys, I always have a great time.
Always.
Follow us on the socials. We are at RPGeeks D&D on Twitter, on Instagram, and on TikTok, and on YouTube. We have a link to various podcast platforms. You can find that on our website, rpgeeks.co.uk. Check it out. Follow us. Leave us podcast reviews. I hear they're very important.
Just some nice comments would be great, and some ratings. Maybe 5-star, Let's do it.
No pressure.
Use as many stars as you want. We'd recommend
Maybe
5.
download it on all of the podcast apps that you have if you really like us. Just, click that download button. Why not?
Like something and subscribe. What was it?
Remember
Like,
to smash
comment,
that
and
like
subscribe
button.
on YouTube.
Ding that bell and subscribe.
Bonk that like button.
Right.
Bonk the like button.
Back to the bonks.
We actually haven't talked about the bonk thing this entire chat.
Look, if you're new to it and you've gotten through this far without ever having met the bonk, congratulations.
As we call Emily now.
Emily Bonk.
Your future may include some bonks, but don't worry, it doesn't last too long. You can survive.
It lasts
Don't
too long.
worry.
Well, that's sad.
And the other thing to mention is if you're listening to this on the pod, or if you're watching this on the VOD, then you can watch this live on Twitch, which is Wednesdays 7 p.m. UK time on twitch.tv/Dr. Simon Clark. Until eventually, obviously, this is going to become a colossal success, and it's just going to need its own channel. But for the time being, it's on the Dr. Simon Clark
For
channel.
the time being, we're piggybacking off of Simon's audience. So thanks,
They are
Simon.
lovely.
You guys are the best.
Yes.
And the other thing we should actually say that explicitly is that we are approaching this as a SciComm project. This is something that we hope to reach a new audience with SciComm that might not otherwise engage with it. But we also really enjoy doing the show. It's always really fun. And we play
really
D&D
fun.
in our spare time with each other, for goodness sakes. But
Sometimes when schedules.
when schedules.
It always amazes me how this sounds bad. Always amazes me how fun it is. I think it's because it's because whenever we start playing, I always have okay, so this is gonna happen, this is gonna happen, but then everybody's having so much damn fun. You're none of it's happened.
We've reached
Welcome to the
approximately
home
where
day,
Annie
Annie.
thought we'd get to in 2 sessions.
I love that we spend hours at a time talking about science, and it's somehow always hysterical. I think that may be your fault.
I think we so far, in my eyes at least, we have it succeeded in science-ifying D&D and also making that discussion of science just actually really fun and interesting.
Yeah.
I like learning, because the way that we do the show is, it's not, we don't research every week for something to talk about. Most of the time you're listening to somebody else talk about something they've researched, and it's really interesting and really fun, and we hope that you enjoy it too, basically.
We love it.
And we love you watching at home.
It has all gone too sappy. No, right.
We do.
No, well, yes, but now we have to end it because it's all gotten too lovey and, emotions. Oh,
Fuck
gosh.
you all.
So, yes,
Thank you all, really.
fuck you for listening and watching, and
Yeah.
we will see you, or you will hear us,
dear.
rather,
That's not what I
next
meant.
week. With that, we'll draw things to a close. Thank you very much for watching / listening. Ali's words
appreciate you.
ringing in your ears. Remember, 5 stars on podcast platforms, please.
I do actually love you.
And we will see you next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Where's the bloody button?